So as expected, the grenade build went extremely well, and I would say that this is probably one of the best league starts I've ever had in Path of Exile 2 so far. The build went very smoothly from the very beginnings of the campaign all the way into the very deep endgame where we are still pretty much one-shotting any of the endgame bosses and clearing with just explosive shot. Now I know a few people have been saying, Big Ducks, where's the updates? Well, they've been in the guide the entire time as I said they would be. The guide has been updated basically every day, if not every other day, either through the live updates or the main guide itself, so if you haven't been paying attention to that, there's not very much I can do for you. I said that that's where it was going to be, and that's where it has been. Now, there haven't been a ton of major updates to the build, however, there have been enough big updates to mainly the crossbow as well as the amulet that I felt it was necessary to make another video. With the addition of the Ire of Aldor rune, we are able to massively abuse lucky damage with pure lightning on our crossbow. I'll go in depth in-game here in a moment and show you exactly how to craft this crossbow, because it is a huge damage upgrade. On top of that, we are also using an Eternal Rage Amulet, which essentially just gives us 100 Spirit Aura for free. We don't have to spend any Spirit, and we don't even need the Strength to be able to use the Aura. It just allows us to have it. Beyond this, there have been some minor updates to things around the tree and such, which I will go into a little bit, but for the most part, this build went insanely well. And it did pretty much everything that I expect out of a League Start, because when you are on League Start, there are a few things that you really do need. You need your build to be tanky, so that you don't have to worry about any of the new stuff killing you because you don't know what you're doing with it. It needs smooth progression all the way through the campaign, and this build had exactly that for me. There was never a point where I felt like I was weak. Huge damage, one-shotting new bosses, all the kinds of good things that you need on a good League Start. But one thing that you really can't go without on League Start is sleep. Now, I know how it goes. Friday afternoon rolls around, the PoE League launches, and you're going to stay up all night playing that game, trying to get to maps, trying to get ahead of everybody else, get, all the currency and everything that you need so that you're ready to go to push those in-game maps. But then, suddenly after what seems like not that long, you start seeing something creep over your shoulder and you notice that the light from the morning is starting to creep in through your window. And that's where the sponsor of this video, Manta Sleep, comes in. Now, about a month ago or so, Manta Sleep sent me this mask here. This is the Manta Sleep Pro, and this has been something that I've been using pretty frequently over the last month. As you may or may not know, I've had sleep problems essentially my entire life. I've struggled very heavily with sleep, and I've tried a bunch of sleep masks, but most of them either are like really irritating on the sides or on the front where your eyes are, and since I'm a side sleeper, it's really hard to get one that's comfortable on these sides here. However, the experience that I've had with Manta Sleep has been quite a bit different from most of the other masks that I've had. This in particular has been the biggest game changer here. It's very soft, it doesn't irritate my skin because I've got super sensitive skin, unfortunately, and it makes it so that I can actually fall asleep without anything touching my eyes. It doesn't cause me to have runny eyes or feel like I'm sick when I wake up, which is what some masks do to me in the mornings. It's fully adjustable. It's got this strap here that you can pull all the way around to tighten it as much as you need if you need it really tight or not tight. Personally, I like to leave it a little bit loose so I've got some room, and even with it being loose, this room, as you may or may not be able to tell, is insanely bright. And it just seems pitch black to me right now. There's absolutely no light coming in whatsoever. It feels like I'm in a room with no windows, no doors, no anything. So if you want to sleep better, especially if you're going to stay up all night playing PoE and sleep at 7 o'clock in the morning, make sure to check out the link down in the description below to find the Manta Sleep mask that I'm wearing here, and use my code BIGDUCKS for 10% off. Thanks again to Manta Sleep for sponsoring this video. So now that we're here in game, I did just want to say quickly that this is the final update for this build, and going forward I am going to be working on other builds. So if you enjoyed this build in particular, it did really well for you on League Start, and you want to check out my next builds that are coming out, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you'll see those videos coming up in the near future. Now, as for what's been going on in game, the main thing I want to talk about first is going to be this Siege Crossbow. This is our pure lightning lucky crossbow that has given us a massive damage upgrade this league. Now, as for crafting this, it is relatively straightforward. There is a little bit of RNG to it, and I can show you a little bit on Craft of Exile, but it hasn't really been updated, and making this crossbow is kind of expensive, and I'm a little poor right now because I've spent all my money on my build. So let's go ahead and make our crossbow. So first thing to talk about is going to be the base. Now, Siege Crossbow is probably the base you're going to have. It's just the one that's going to drop the most. You're going to have to buy a base and then fracture it yourself, most likely. Siege Crossbow is just going to be the one that it'll most likely be. So the tier 1 requires, I think, item level 81 to have tier 1 of added LE, 2 sockets, doesn't really matter beyond that. Now, first off, let's talk about the Fractured mod. It has to be tier 1 lightning because of a hotfix that GGG did recently to the Ire of Aldor rune. Previously, when I was first making the crossbow, you could convert fractured mods with the Ire of Aldor rune into lightning. That is no longer the case, so you have to fracture tier 1 lightning. Now let's talk a little bit about fracturing this yourself, because apparently a lot of people don't know this, but the way that you fracture something is you are going to get 3 modifiers on your item, including the one that you want to fracture. If the modifier is really bad, I'd honestly suggest dividing it up into a halfway decent roll, like something that has like good minimum, good maximum, something like that would be really good, right? Have a 1 mod item, you're going to bring it to 2 mods. That's kind of insane that hit that. You're going to bring it to 3 mods. And then from here, what you're going to do is you are going to add a desecrated modifier. Doesn't matter which one you use. I would use the preserved jawbone instead of the like 5 div ancient jawbone. From here, this is where you fracture it, okay? You do not want to fracture it with 4 on there. You want to have an unveiled desecrated modifier on here. And then if you fail, you're just going to have to make a new crossbow the same exact way and keep fracturing them until you hit lightning damage. Then what you're going to do from here is you're going to null it down to 1 mod, and you're going to chaos roll for tier 2 of either of the other added damages. Not percentage increase elemental damage. I've seen a lot of people do this one. It's either cold or fire. So you're just going to hit this with Chaos Orbs until you hit tier 2 or higher of added cold or added fire. Those are the only things that work here. It has to be one of those 2 mods. Going to save us a little bit of time, remove this, and we're just going to add, I don't know, fire of tier 2. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to do a desecration. Now, you are going to want to make sure that this is a prefix. So you're going to go into omens. You're going to do sinestral necromancy. This will all be in the written guide. It's going to be much easier to do, but I am just going to show you this. Sinestral necromancy. You're going to go to desecration. I personally just use preserved jawbones. If you really want to use ancient jawbones because you got $1 million, go for it. You're going to add on this desecrated prefix. Then you're going to make sure that you're using omens of abyssal echoes, and then you are going to reveal this. You are trying to get the 3rd elemental damage here. Now, this is the part that's going to take a while, and you need to get at least tier 3 in my opinion. Anything below tier 3 just really genuinely isn't worth it. So you would just keep doing this and keep going until you did get the modifier that you want. Now, there are 2 ways that you can go about fixing this, right? So say you hit the wrong one. You can either use an Omen of Light and just simply remove it, or if you feel like you want to, you could just use an Orb of Annulment and 50-50 off the modifier. Now, generally, I don't recommend this because look at what's happening. You'd have to re-chaos roll this every single time like this, right? All right, this is a little bit insane. But anyways, that's the idea, is that you would have to re-chaos roll that every single time. However, you would just keep doing this desecrated mod, right, like over and over and over again until you did manage to get the 3rd modifier of tier 3 or higher. This is tier 4, but we're just going to keep it for now. From here on, it's kind of hard to show you in Craft of Exile what you do next, but essentially you would just add on 2 additional suffixes. It doesn't matter what they are. And then you're going to use an Omen of Dextral Crystallization, and then you're going to use a Perfect Essence of Battle first. This will remove 1 of the modifiers, and then you're going to need that rune that I talked about before. So this is going to be Astrid's Creativity. This allows you to have 1 additional crafted modifier as long as this rune is in the item. Now you can remove this later, but I haven't like decided that I'm finally done with the last suffix on this crossbow, the crit chance. I might redo it at some point. As soon as you take this out, and it's like a 30 div rune right now or something, then you can't do this anymore. So once you decide to overwrite that rune, make sure that it's exactly how you want. Perfect Essence of Haste, and unfortunately, Craft of Exile is not updated properly. So what happens here is that it doesn't perform like in-game. In-game, the craft is exact now. You don't need to worry about like redoing all of this anymore. Then when you get to this step, when you have these 2 suffixes, you can just slam your last suffix. You can just use a Greater Exalt is what I would suggest. If this fails, the only thing that you can really do is use Dextral Annulment to remove only suffix modifiers, remove anything there, and then just restart from the same exact step. Leave that rune in there, continue to do the thing where you're just going to be using Omens of Dextral Crystallization, and then hitting it with whatever got removed, and then you would just slam it again over and over again until you get what you want. Realistically, there's not a lot of mods that are good here. Like life gain on kill, life leech, attack speed would be okay as the 6 mod, but that's pretty much it. After you've got your crossbow and it's all crafted and ready to go, you would drop this Ire of Aldor rune in there. It would convert everything, and then you can replace the Astrid's Creativity whenever you're ready to just delete like a 30 div rune. So yeah. Next thing to talk about is going to be this amulet. Now, this amulet's pretty interesting in that it has level 18 Eternal Rage, and it just gives it to you for free. You don't need the strength, you don't need anything. It just gives you a 100 spirit aura for free. Now, to be able to craft this exact one, It is a little annoying, but there's really no way around it. Because it is -1 prefix, -1 suffix, you can only chaos roll it. You can't use transmutes, you can't use augments, they don't do anything. You just have to make this yellow, and then you gotta chaos roll it until you get +2 proj levels or higher. I highly suggest you stop at +2, because otherwise if you want +3, you're gonna be spending like 10,000 chaos or something like that. Just go for +2. On average, it's like, I don't know, 20 div or something to be able to craft it. But it's a very good amulet, so hopefully you'll get luckier than I did. After that, you're just going to add a prefix. You'll use the same thing as before, the omen that makes the essence take a prefix, and then you're going to use the, I think it's perfect essence of enhancement is actually the correct one. All the notes, once again, will be in the actual guide. This will give you that global armor, evasion, and energy shield. Then you'll just do a prefix for the desecration. I think it's Ulamon is the one that you're wanting to get that increased evasion rating from equipped body armor. And then you're just going to use the last slam to get the elemental resistance. You just put cold catalyst on there, use the omen of, I think it's called omen of catalyzing. Yeah, omen of catalyzing exaltation to get whatever modifier that you want on there, hopefully, and then you should be done. Once again, notes are all in the description. Other than that, the build hasn't changed massively. I've moved around a couple of things, and this isn't the late in-game version of the build because I just didn't really feel like I needed to go that far. But overall, most of the links are relatively similar. However, I did go ahead and just drop the other lineage support here, so I only kept the one that just replenishes the crossbow bolt whenever you kill, and I swapped it out for Innervate. Because we're doing pure lightning damage, we're pretty much always shocking with this skill, and this just gives us 25 gained on all of our skills, which is pretty good. Other than that, pretty much everything is exactly the same. Nothing has really changed. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for the build. Nothing else really changed with the build. Same old, same old. The very late in-game stuff is pretty much all still accurate. As for the tree has not changed massively. I did change this jewel slightly. Notes about crafting this and stuff are in the description as well. You just don't need the large radius anymore because we don't care about these nodes anymore. And you're able to craft +1 maximum rage on this now, which is pretty good. So yeah, other than that, not much else has changed. Build is pretty much excellent, did everything that I wanted it to. Very, very smooth league start, and yeah, so on to the next build. And that's going to be it for the video. And remember, boys, if you enjoy this content, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest videos, and stay safe out there in raid class. And I'll see you guys in the next video.